In the passage that was read to us in Matthew 5, Jesus uses two common images to explain what his followers are like, namely salt and light.
Let's start with salt. Nothing particularly special about salt. Every home in the country has a salt shaker. But a little bit of salt is flavour enhancing. And a little bit more acts as a preservative and keeps impurities away. It's actually very special, not because it looks great, not because of its size, it's just little bits, not because it's great quantity, but because it is different and it is able to enhance the food it's mixed with. Wonderful. Steak and chips. Jesus says to his followers, "You are the salt of the earth." So Christians are actually of huge value to the world they are in, if they are in it, and different from it. So Christian, how different are you to the world that you are in? That brings us back to those Beatitudes, the attributes or qualities of those who belong to the kingdom of heaven. Jesus talks about us being humble rather than proud, being meek rather than heavy-handed, seeking righteousness rather than our own good, mourning at sin rather than laughing at sin, being merciful rather than judgmental towards people, being peacemakers rather than stoking up division, acting from a purity of heart rather than from false motives. Better get on with my feed.
It is in Jesus' second image of light that he gives his next command. These are his words. "You are the light of the world. Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven."
Okay, so you can't see me right now, but if I take this bucket off, then you can. It's simple stuff. This light was actually on all the time, but it was hidden under the bucket. And Jesus is simply saying to his followers, don't hide away, but let the light that is in you shine out in the dark places. The big question for us as Christians is this: how can we be that light in the world? What is it that makes us so? Let's cast some light on that now.
It was 700 years before Jesus was born. The guy was Isaiah, and he prophesied in his chapter 60, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples. But the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you." You see, he spoke of a darkness in the earth. But God's people were to arise and shine because their light had come. And they were now shining with the glory of the Lord. Now, we know that Jesus came as that light. He himself declared, "I am the light of the world." He did it twice, at least twice are recorded. But in what way was he the light? Well, John records him saying it between two key events. The first is this, there is a woman who has been caught in adultery and the leaders want to stone her. They bring her to Jesus. And the light Jesus sheds is this. He says, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." And then as the leaders start to disperse, he says, "Woman, neither do I condemn you. Now leave your life of sin." The second event is a man who has been blind from birth. The people considered that his blindness was the judgment for the sin of either his parents or his own sin, and they described him as steeped in sin since birth. But Jesus said, neither due to his parents' own sin or his own sin is he blind. And he proceeded to give him his sight to the glory of God. So you see, Jesus brings light to both the woman and the man by taking away any condemnation and bringing in forgiveness and healing together with the truth. This brings us back to the Beatitudes again. You are the light of the world as you exercise mercy and forgiveness rather than judgment, as you seek righteousness and goodness rather than your own interests, as you are peacemakers rather than divisive. Last time, we saw that the result of following Jesus was possible persecution. This time, the light and the salt brings a positive impact of people turning to God and praising him. Oh, may by God's grace you see much of the latter and little of the former. Many of us have experienced darkness in the world recently. I don't need to list the ways in which that is the case. Darkness is a lack of light. And right at the beginning of the universe, when things were chaotic and dark, God spoke into the darkness, let there be light. And there was light. The greatest darkness in this world is lack of love for others, lack of forgiveness, and lack of mercy. The greatest light in this world is Jesus, who shows perfect love, perfect forgiveness, and immense mercy. And now, we, his followers, are that light. Now, there's various ways in which we can show that light. And I just want to show you now a thank you from Igor in Ukraine. We support his churches there through Bread Trust, and we've supported him as they face too this COVID-19 situation.
Меня зовут Игорь Богомаз, и я веду сферу церквей «Новые рубежи» в Украине, побеждающая благодать.
My name is Igor Bogomas, and I'm leading the New Frontier sphere of churches that is called Triumphant Grace.
В Украине, как и во многих странах мира, мы переживаем пандемию коронавируса.
Like the rest of the world, Ukraine is going through coronavirus pandemic.
Много людей болеют и много людей страдают.
Many people are suffering and are ill.
И мы хотим выразить благодарность сфере церквей Крайст-центр Великобритании за вашу финансовую помощь, которую вы нам посылаете.
And we would like to say thank you to Christ Central Sphere in Great Britain for all the help that you provided.
Мы хотим лекарств и для продуктов.
Primarily, we'll use these funds to buy medicine and food.
Те люди, которые испытывают трудности сейчас, они получат помощь.
Those people who are going through a difficult time will receive help.
От себя лично и от тех церквей, которые мы представляем, мы передаем искреннюю благодарность и любовь всем, кто в этом участвовал.
On behalf of the churches I represent, we'd like to say thank you and to send you blessings for all the work that you do.
Пусть Бог благословит вас.
May God bless you.
You see, Mike Pilavachi tells another story, and it's about someone he knows, a friend of his, Dave. And Dave had just graduated at the time, it's a few years ago, and when he graduated, he was looking for work, he found a temporary job. He ended up in an office which you could describe as the office from hell. Basically, everybody seemed to hate each other, and there was no end of backstabbing and complaining and moaning. And Dave was soon of the view, I don't want to be here. And he told God so in his prayers. And he sensed God say to him, stay and live in the opposite spirit. So one day, Dave bought lots of boxes of chocolates. And he went in early to the office. And he went around different people's desks, hiding boxes of chocolates in the drawers, under papers, and so on. And when the people came in, there was the usual moaning and groaning and such like, until someone opened their desk and they found in a drawer a box of chocolates. Who put this here? Who's this from? Not from me. Not me either. I don't know. And then someone else found some under some paperwork. And then Dave dug out the one which was on his desk too. And what happened was, through Dave's acting in the opposite spirit, the atmosphere in the office began to change. People didn't want to be nasty about the chocolate giver. And so they were nice to each other. And the backstabbing and complaining reduced. Now, what about you? God has poured out his love and forgiveness into our hearts. In your case, is it hidden or on bright display?